Some people will sit with a problem for days. They'll lose sleep over it, go through it in their head 100 times, try every possible angle, and still, they will not pick up the phone and ask for help. Not because they don't know they need it, not because there's no one around, but because something inside them just won't allow it. And I think that's one of the most interesting things about certain kinds of people. So let's actually talk about it, not to fix them, not to label them, but to understand what's really going on. Because from the outside, it's easy to look at someone like this and think they're being stubborn, or difficult, or maybe even a little arrogant. But spend enough time understanding how these people think, and you realize that it's actually something much deeper than that. It starts with identity. For a lot of people who never ask for help, the idea of being independent isn't just something they prefer. It's something they are. It's woven into how they see themselves. Being capable, being self-reliant, being the one who figures things out without needing anyone, that's not a habit for them. That's their whole personality. And when your identity is built around something that deeply you protect it, not because you're proud in a negative way, but because it genuinely means something to you. And honestly, there's something real to respect there. These are people who don't wait around for someone to come solve things for them, but they roll up their sleeves, dig in, and figure it out. Even when it takes longer, even when it's harder. There's a kind of quiet discipline in that which most people don't fully appreciate. But then there's the self-respect piece, and this one's a bit more complicated. A lot of these people have spent so long being the strong one, the reliable one, the one others lean on, that the moment they imagine going to someone and saying, "Hey, I'm struggling, I need your help," it genuinely feels like a loss. Not because asking for help is actually a loss, but because in their mind, in the version of themselves they've worked so hard to build, it feels like cracking, like admitting something they're not ready to admit. And so they don't, they carry it, and they keep going, which, when you think about it, says a lot about their character. Now here's something that doesn't get talked about enough: the introverts. Because there's a specific kind of quiet suffering that happens inside an introverted person who needs help but can't bring themselves to ask for it. And I want to be really clear about this. It's not that they don't want help. Sometimes they desperately want it. They know exactly what they need and exactly who could give it to them. But the act of starting that conversation, of opening themselves up, of putting their struggle in front of another person, for an introvert, that's not a small thing. Social interactions cost them energy. Vulnerability costs them even more. So instead of asking, they go back inside themselves and they try to work it out alone. It's not weakness. It's just the way they're wired. And the strength it takes to keep functioning while carrying that alone is something most people would never even notice. Then there's fear. And this one's more universal than people like to admit. Nobody wants to look incompetent. Nobody wants to be the person who couldn't handle something. We all have this image of ourselves that we want to maintain, especially in front of people whose opinions matter to us. And when you ask for help, you're essentially saying out loud, "I couldn't do this on my own." For someone with high standards, someone who cares about how they show up in the world, that moment of exposure is genuinely uncomfortable. So they avoid it. They'd rather figure it out the hard way. then risk being seen a certain way. Again, not weakness, just a very high standard that they hold for themselves. And then there's something really quietly beautiful about some of these people. They don't ask for help because they don't want to be a burden. They look at the people around them and they think, everyone's already dealing with their own stuff. Why would I add to it? That's not them being martyr-like or dramatic. That's just genuine consideration. They're thinking about other people, even when they themselves are the ones who are struggling. And somehow that quality almost never gets acknowledged. Past experiences play a huge role in all of this too. A lot of people who don't ask for help today, they asked before. At some point, they reached out and something went wrong. Maybe someone wasn't there. Maybe they were judged for it. Maybe what they shared was used against them later. And the mind remembers that. It files it away. And quietly, without any dramatic decision being made, a wall goes up. Not to push people away, but to protect themselves from going through that again. You really can't blame someone for that. That's just a person who learned from experience. And underneath all of it, underneath the identity, the self-respect, the introversion, the fear, the consideration for others, the past experiences, underneath all of that is this core desire for control, for autonomy. These people want to be the author of their own story. They want to handle their own life. And in a world where so much is unpredictable, where so many things are out of our hands, wanting to hold on to that control isn't a character flaw. It's a deeply human need. And for some people, it's stronger than in others. What I want you to take away from this is simple. People who never ask for help are not broken. They are not cold. They are not incapable of connection. They're just people who have built a very particular relationship with independence. One that took years to form. One that usually comes from a real place. And one that honestly has given them a kind of strength that's hard to manufacture. The world is full of people who fold the moment things get hard. These aren't those people. And that matters.